Hello friends, welcome to series of online lectures. Today we are going to discuss about one of surface coating technology, that is physical vapor deposition, in short PVD. I have divided this topic into two parts. In part 1 we are going to cover following points in that introduction to PVD, then we are going to see the classification of physical vapor deposition. In that again thermal evaporation, electron beam evaporation, reactive and activated reactive electron beam evaporation, and remaining parts we are going to cover in the second lecture. Okay, so let us begin with the what is the PVD. Okay, that is the introduction about the physical vapor deposition. So it is a one kind of method by which physical ejection of materials and upon molecules and conventional and nucleation of these atoms onto the substrate. That means from this particular line where we can get that we are having certain kind of base, or maybe that certain kind of materials we are agitating by maybe some laser, or maybe some electron beam, or maybe some current, or maybe some thermal, and that is releasing some kind of atoms, or maybe molecules, or maybe some kind of plasma materials. And then we are going to use certain kind of vapor gases, maybe or may not be then that material, or maybe that ions and that molecules can deposit on to the substrate, which are going to modified. So in a basic term, just simply we are doing a coating by using any kind of atoms or molecules, or maybe the plasma into the vaporized condition. Okay, so the vapor phase material can be consist of ions or plasma, and is often chemically reacted with the gases which are introduced into the vapor, called reactive deposition, to form a new component. So from this particular we can understand that whatever the gas we are introducing, maybe it can react with that ion or molecules, or maybe it can simply the inert want to help the homogeneous coating of that particular material onto the substrate itself. Then this process can be applied to various kind of materials like ceramics, polymers, metals, then alloys, composites, etc. Okay, so now this is, as I have shown in the figure, there is our material which we are going to subtract and which we are going to modify, and this one, or may that rather we can say it that a substrate, and this is the metal ion, or maybe some kind of material which we are going to put on top of to substrate. Okay, look at the diagram. So here we are keeping our material, then either by giving the heat, or maybe some kind of electron beam, or maybe laser beam, or may some kind of other energy material, we are agitating these metal ions, so that they these metal ions slowly it can deposit onto the substrate. Okay, let us move for the next slide. Now we are going to discuss about the classification of PVD, or maybe the physical vapor deposition process. So there are several types of classification are available in the, in terms of how we are going to modify those samples, how we are going to agitate the material, or maybe how we are going to do the coating, or maybe what term of energy just we are using to agitate those material and do the coating over the substrate. So first type is thermal evaporation method, then electron beam, or maybe e-beam evaporation method, then reactive activated reactive electron beam evaporation, then splattering, then cathodic arc deposition, ion plating, and pulsed laser deposition. So these are the types of PVD technique. So first we will discuss first that is thermal evaporation. So what is the thermal evaporation means? So from the name itself you can understand that we are giving certain kind of heat to the source material, so that it can agitate due to that temperature, or maybe the heating, and then it can release the atoms or molecules, and directly that atoms and molecules can go onto the substrate, and slowly it deposit onto top of that substrate. So here the beauty of this technique is that it is totally controllable one. So what about the thickness we are going to achieve? Easily we can achieve those material. So a thermal evaporation user and electric resistance heater to make source material and rise its vapor pressure to the useful range. So sometimes we are using certain kind of heating elements or maybe this heating coil, then that heating coil it gives a thermal environment by which your source is going to into the vapor form, and that vapor is depositing onto your substrate or maybe the metal or maybe the ceramics or maybe the polymers. Now the thermal energy is imparted to atoms in a liquid or solid source so that it can efficiently vaporize. So vaporization takes place in vacuum. Generally we are using the high vacuum, because otherwise what will happen if we do not use the vacuum or maybe we do not use certain kind of inert gases, may that vaporized material can be reacted with the environmental oxygen or maybe moisture, and it can form the newer material or maybe the some unuseful material. So evaporated particles can travel directly to the deposition target without colliding with the background gas. Films can also be evaporated using the multiple sources. So from this particular, as I have shown in the figure, you can understand that we are having the certain source over there, then we are doing for the degassing, we are having a coating onto the wall so that the heat cannot go outside, and this is our substrate material as I have shown in the figure, on which we are going to do the coating. Then we are agitating these materials by means of any kind of heater or maybe electrical coil, so that this can form the vapor, and that vapor directly can be deposited onto the substrate itself. Okay, so now from this we can see that there are the several thermal evaporation types also there according to the input energy. So first is the direct resistive heating, then indirect resisting heating, then inductive heating, and the laser ablation. Okay, now we will discuss the some advantages of this thermal evaporation. Okay, so this technique is simple and cheap. Okay, and it having the less surface damage of the substrate, which gives the high surface. Okay, then some direct method, that is some indirect method we can use, then we are getting the excellent purity of the films. So just we are giving the energy to the source material so that source material can come into the wafer form and simple deposit onto the target metal, maybe that substrate metal. Okay, then there are the certain kind of disadvantages also. So limited to low melting point metal, poor density and adhesion, because we are giving a certain heat particular material, and if the melting point of that precursor material is too high, then it is very difficult to make them into the vapor form. And not only that, directly the gas is coming onto the substrate. So it depends upon the surface chemistry of that particular target material. So if the target material is little bit sticky, or maybe there is some kind of oil or maybe glycerin is absorbed, so automatically that material will deposit onto that surface of surface. So of course, but there will not be any bonding or may be the addition in between these two materials, then it is not possible to operate the dielectric metals. Filaments limits the amount of material that can be deposited, then step coverage is more difficult to improve. So there are the lot of disadvantages are also possible. Then optimization, purity of the film depends on the purity of the source material and the quality of the vacuum. In case of films, the thickness of films vary according to the geometry of the chamber. the things is that what about the source material or maybe the precursor material we are going to take that depend upon the purity. If that material itself impure, then what that then that material some impurity also come into the vapor form and that will deposit on the substrate, so that will not get the exact property whatever we want. Then in case of films, the thickness of films varies according to geometry of the chamber because it depends upon the vacuum. So if the sample size will be more, then automatically the chamber size will be more accordingly, because we need certain constant vacuum for doing this kind of modification. Then what are the application about the evaporation of thermal evaporation? So first application, the evaporation of metals, alloys, semiconductors, insulations, etc. Again, gold plating machines, thermal insulation coating are possible. So these are the some applications of this technique. Now next one, we are going to discuss about the electron beam evaporation. Okay, so from the name itself we can understand that here we are using the electron, and then that electron we are bombarding onto the source material or maybe the precursor material, and then precursion a material is releasing certain kind of ions or maybe the molecules or maybe the plasma, then that is directly deposited onto your base metal or maybe the substrate. So here is a target anode, as I have shown in the figure. There is a target anode is bombarded with the electron beam giving up by the charged tungsten filament under the high vacuum. So we are using one anode materials and other one is into the cathode material. So here anode is the source or maybe the precursor and the cathode is our substrate. So we are hitting or maybe the bombarding our anode material by the electron, then we are agitating those material, then they are releasing certain kind of atoms or maybe the molecules, and that is diffusion onto the cathode. Okay, means that is our substrate. So atoms from the target transform into the gaseous phase due to the electron beam, and these atoms then precipitate into the solid form by coating the substrate with a thin layer of the anode material. So we'll discuss about the advantages: high few micrometer per minute as well as low 1 nanometer per minute diffusion rate, means that is fully controllable depending upon the how much energy you are putting onto the anode material or maybe the onto the source, ability to control the structural and morphological properties of the film. Okay, again some kind of disadvantages also are available. So what are those? Filament degradation due to the non-uniform evaporation rate, then significant scattering of the vapor takes place. Yes, maybe sometimes it cannot be the homogeneous things, coating may be, and the heterogeneous coating can be possible. Okay, now what are the applications? Generally we are using this one for aerospace materials, then cutting, tool industry, then electronics and optical frames for the semiconductor industry. So there are the several applications of this technique available. Okay, let us move for the next one, is called reactive and activated reactive electron beam evaporation. So what is the purpose of reactive and activated reactive electron beam? Certain refractory oxides and carbides undergo fragmentation during the electron beam evaporation, resulting in stoichiometry which is different from the initial material. To overcome this situation, state to active reactive operation are employed. Both electron beam and thermal evaporation process are used to reactive and activated reactivity deposition. So we have discussed firstly about thermal evaporation, then we have discussed about the e-beam. Okay, maybe the electron beam evaporation. So these techniques is the combination of the thermal evaporation as well as the electron beam evaporation. Okay, so when we are giving the material a high electron beam, it is giving high energy to that material itself. So while it is that source material is going into the wafer form, maybe it can change its characteristics. So whatever the material we are wanting as a coating material, maybe that property can changed. So we are using the combination of both thermal evaporation process and e-beam operation process togetherly in this reactive and activated reactive electron beam evaporation technique. What are the advantages? So deposition of oxide, generally compounds we can do. What are the reactive type? So in this process, the reactive gas, generally oxygen, nitrogen, hydrocarbon, is introduced into the chamber while the metal is evaporated. When the thermodynamic conditions are met, the metal atoms react with the gas in the vicinity of the substrate to form a film. So here we are using the gas as well as the atoms together to do the coating onto the metal or maybe the substrate. So here is this technique, actually we are using certain kind of aluminum, where over there we are using oxygen gas is okay. So it is making the alumina oxide or maybe that Al2O3. Okay, now next one is called the activated reactive type. Okay, in short we are calling it ARE or maybe ARE. So here this process is twofold. Generally it is divided into two steps to enhance the reaction efficiency through activations of the reactive gas that are necessary for the formation of the compound films to modify the growth kinetics and hence structural morphology of the deposit. So that is why we are dividing into the two parts. Plasma are also used to activate the reactive gas. Its evaporation force maybe either e-beam source or maybe the electron beam or maybe some kind of resistance heated source. So recent developments in this ARA process are to produce the vapor species, confinement of your operation technique and development of modified plasma excitation geometry. Now what are the application? We can make titanium dioxide, silicon dioxide as optical coating, manufacture of carbide, nitride means the titanium carbide, titanium nitride, which can be used for coating of the some kind of tool material or maybe the cutting tool material. Then here we can see some kind of inserts, generally we are using for the cutting tool, because as we know that if we want to make a tool, cutting tool by any kind of material, it will be very expensive. So what we do, generally we are doing to use a cutting tool made up of HSS, that means high speed steel, and the tip of the tool can be changed easily. We are generally calling it as an insert. Okay, so material is made up of the titanium carbide or may be that titanium nitrate. Okay, so these are the applications of this ARA process. Okay, sputtering, cathodic arc deposition, filtered cathodic arc deposition, ion plating and pulsed laser deposition. Let us begin with the first one, that is a sputtering. So this is common method or maybe that is easily available method, and nowadays means we are extensively using these patterning spattering techniques. So steps for spattering process is you have to put target material and then substrate is placed in a vacuum chamber. So this is your vacuum chamber, you can see in the figure I have displayed on the slide. So your vacuum chamber, then you are going to put your substrate there, and then you are putting your target materials or maybe the source material over there. Then you are using certain kind of plasma over. Then if voltage is applied between the target and the substrate, so there should be some kind of potential difference in between the cathode and in between the anode. So plasma is created by ionizing a spattering gas, generally a chemically inert heavy gas like argon. So Here we are using in the inert gas like argon, and then we are making this gas into plasma form. Then that plasma actually it is deposited onto the your substrate. So atoms or molecules of the target material are ejected into gas form or plasma due to the bombardment of the spluttering gas. Ejected target material deposited onto the substrate itself. So simply we are putting certain kind of potential difference in between the anode and cathode. Then we are injecting certain kind of plasma over there, which is modifying, which is nothing but directly coming from using argon gases, and then that plasma is directly hit onto your target material or maybe the source material. Then due to that some kind of atoms or molecules it is directly coming from the source material and it is deposited onto the substrate material. So that is why it is called the spattering technique. So for efficient movement transfer, the atomic weight of the splattering gas like argon, then neon should be close to atomic weight of the target, otherwise it is little bit be difficulty occur. Then what are the advantages? Materials having high melting point can be easily splattered. Then films by sputtering have better adhesion on the substrate than evaporated films. Disadvantages about this: inner splattering gases are built into the growing film as impurities, so it can create certain kind of impurities too. But if we see overall, the splattering technique is good and it is cheap and it is less time consuming. Okay, so this is about the splattering technique. Let us discuss the next next technique, that is a cathodic arc deposition method. So first we have to know that what is cathodic arc deposition. An electric arc is used to vaporize the metal from the target cathode. Vaporize metal then condense on a substrate forming a thin stream. So here you are using some cathode material over there, then we are using the plasma, then that plasma ions are the arc is going to cathode side and the metal ions it is going to substrate side. So here you are using some kind of potential difference by using some kind of power supply. So you are using some kind of high potential difference in between your cathode and the anode material. So cathodic arc takes place a special space place among PVD process because of high ion densities. So the technique may be, it can be measured 90% with the other techniques, but here the density of ions whatever we are getting is more than the other process. So here are the vaporization occurs when high current low voltage is passed through a source of material placed between two electrode anode and cathode, and this process produces extremely hard film, therefore can be used for thin hard film, super hard coating or nano composite coating. It can be used to deposit metallic, ceramic and composite films also. So these techniques are more versatile than the other. We can use so many materials, we can use some kind of hard materials also. So some issue faced by cathodic arc process are poor film quality, uniformity in thickness, poor control over, then poor repeatability and reliability for production processes, high maintenance is happen. So there all are issue generally we are facing while doing the cathodic arc deposition. Next one is called the filter cathodic arc deposition process. So here from this name we can understand that it is a little bit modified version of the previous one. So here the filter cathodic arc process is extensively used to deposit tribological and wear resistant thin film. Mainly it eliminates the macroparticle that degraded coating performance. So the small size particles or maybe the small sized particles, rather I can say that all particles whatever it is depositing onto your substrate, all particle size are more or less same. So there should not be any mixture of bigger particle and the smaller particle, because as we know that if the particle size will be bigger, it is very difficult to stick on onto the substrate material, and not only that its surface area will be less. so there will be less adhesion in between the coating materials and the substrate material. So here ejected particles are fed into the curved duct. So you can see in this diagram there is a duct over there. So through this duct your particle is going through, and then it is falling onto your substrate material. Steering field which separate the particle by mass, thus filtering them like a mass spectrometer. So here there are several kinds of filtering coils which is absorbing the bigger particle size and only allowing the small particle size to go. Then unwanted macro particles and neutral atoms are filtered by the mechanical filter, and coating space is reaching the substrate which is pure ions. Then beam of particles must be rested over the substrate to coat large area with acceptable uniformity. Okay, so this is actually the movable one, so that it can cover up the whole area if the sample size will be bigger. Also, not only that, here the purity of the coating material is also 100%, and then it is very easy to take out the impurities from the coating materials too. Okay, so let us discuss the next one, is that is ion plating. So it is a atomistic vacuum coating process where a deposition film is continuously or periodically bombarded by energetic atomic sized inner or reactive particles. So here we are not putting any kind of heat, we are not putting any kind of electron beam, we are not putting any kind of laser. So here we are using certain kind of energetic atomic sized inner, or maybe the reactive particles we are bombarding onto the source material, and then we are doing the coating onto the our substrate. So it is also called ion assisted deposition, IAD, or maybe the ion vapor deposition. Activated reactive evaporation evaporations our process with a negative bias on the substrate is called the reactive ion plating. So it depends upon the source how we are going to use different source. So using the different source, it is having different nomenclature. The source of depositing atoms can be from vacuuming operation, splattering, arc vaporization, or from a chemical vapor precursor. So from this there is a certain mechanism are available. So first one is, as I have shown in the figure, is called surface preparation, then nucleation and interface formation, and then film growth. So here the source of depositing atoms, first in the evaporation technique we are having the substrate, you are using the certain, you are having the filament, then directly the material is deposited onto the substrate, heat over or on the top of substrate. But here you are using certain kind of target material, so that target material is forming certain kind of plasma, and that plasma can hit the target material, and then from here some kind of atoms or molecules and directly go and it can deposit onto the substrate, and here directly you are using making certain kind of plasma by arc cathode method, and then that plasma itself is deposited onto your substrate material. Okay, now we are going to discuss about the next method, that is a pulsed laser depositions or PLD process. So a high power pulsed laser is focused onto the target, which is ablated to form a plume of atoms, molecules and particulates directly toward the substrate. It can work under the controlled gas environment, both inert and reactive gas. It depends upon which kind of material we are going to coat. And mechanism of the PLD process, the mechanism of PLD process can be expressed in the three steps. First one is called interaction of the laser beam and the target, the plasma film formation, nucleation and growth of thin films. So simple. Till now we are discussing about different types of fitting elements, maybe the electric coil or maybe the certain kind of laser or maybe certain kind of electron beam. So here first we are putting the laser beam directly onto the target itself, then then it is creating certain kind of plasma, that plasma is directly decomposing onto your substrate material, and so that why it is called the pulsed laser deposition. Now how you are going to control your laser depending upon that whether it is pulsed means there will be any on or off mechanism, or maybe they it will be continuous one. So it depends upon what type of source of energy you are using to use, and some factors that influence the deposition rate is called the target material, pulse energy of laser, distance from the target to the substrate, type of gas and pressure in chamber, oxygen, argon, etc, etc. Okay, now let us discuss some benefits of PLA process or other film deposition method. This is faster response, well controlled deposition rate, then a relatively high deposition rate we are getting using this method, then growth in any environment, flexible, then reproduce the composition of the target used to deposit multi-layer film, then deposition of highly crystalline films are possible using this technique. Let us highlight some disadvantages also. So high defect or particulate concentration, uneven coverage, not well suited for the large scale films, and the PLD process does not fit for every application. Let us discuss some applications. So the PLD process is used for the dielectric and ferroelectric film purpose, then optical and tribological coatings. It is possible using this technique. Then for the semiconductor coating, we can use this technique. Then architecture structures also. Then window glazing, vacuum web coating, wear resistant coating also we can do using this process. Okay, let us discuss the summary of this physical vapor deposition process. Okay, so in PVD, chemical reactions are not involved except for reactive sputtering deposition. So here directly we are making any kind of gas or maybe the vapor, then that is deposited onto the substrate. The main advantage of PVD are control over growth of thin film, which high priority, as I told already, you are eliminate the impurities by using several kind of methods, and not only that, you can use the control over growth depending upon that how much energy you are going to put on your target material or maybe the source material. Then ability to control the structural and morphological properties of films, so easily you can make the material from the hydrophobic or hydrophilic, or not only that, you can make the material which can withstand the high temperature, or maybe it can be easily electrical conductive. So whatever the property you want, you can do it by these methods. Then improvement in repairability and reliability of this modified substrate. In most cases, instruments are highly precise as well as cost effective. The modification techniques are can be applied in various fields like manufacturing of semiconductor devices, optical coatings, tribological coatings, aerospace industries. Here we have listed a few applications, okay, which are possible using this PVD technique. This is about the physical vapor deposition coating technique. Thank you.